Always happy to have Heat beat reporter Ethan Skolnick from 5 Reasons Sports with us. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Better circumstances, you know.
I understand for all of us. What are you doing to stay on top of the beat, and what are the Heat players doing during this suspension?
It seems like they're streaming. They're playing video games.
Yeah.
They're all over Twitter. I think they're as bored as the rest of us, and nobody really knows what's going to happen going forward because nobody in the world knows what's going to happen going forward. But I do think we're going to get more clarity on Monday, Steve. The Heat are going to have an announcement sometime on Monday that's going to kind of deal with all of these issues, the player issues, but also the issues about the employees at the arena, because I know that's something that's been discussed, and the Heat have been working on something like a lot of other organizations have put into place.
Yeah, that's really good. So what are the options for the league, for the NBA?
Well, there's not a lot of good options. And again, there's so little clarity at this point. But the thing about it, Steve, is they want to get in some regular season games. I know that. There's some CBA reasons for doing that, some collective bargaining agreement reasons. And there's also some reasons in terms of television. I've been told that basically August 1st is a date to watch, that they have to get this thing started by August 1st.
Wait, they have to get the rest of the regular season started by August 1st?
They have to get something started by August 1st.
That's a long way away.
That's a long way off. They have some time. They clearly want to do it before that, but we don't know what's going to happen because of what happened with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, and who knows how many other players. We saw Christian Wood yesterday on the Detroit Pistons, and there's going to be more players that test positive. But there's a few factors to take into consideration here. Again, they have to satisfy the collective bargaining agreement. You could end the regular season right now. If you look at the lockout season from a few years ago, how many games did every team play? 66. How many games have the teams played so far this year? 64 to 67.
Yeah.
And the seeding is basically set. 1 seeds are set in both conferences. The 8 seeds are basically set. But this is more about satisfying the CBA and trying to get a couple games in before the playoffs.
Does this break benefit any team?
Well, let's look at the Heat. The Heat were not playing particularly well. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, this has pretty much been a 500 team in 2020, since the turn of the year. And, you had a bunch of guys that were dealing with some minor injuries. You were getting guys back like Tyler Hero. Myers Leonard has more time to heal now. So I do think this could be beneficial to the Heat, but we don't really know. This is like the lockouts that you've had in the NBA. The teams come back and you don't know how they're going to react. Here's how it could benefit the Heat. Did you want to face the Pacers or the Sixers in the first round? Because right now, if the regular season is over, the Heat would play Indiana in the first round, not Philadelphia. But here's how it benefits Philadelphia. Embiid and Simmons have had injuries, right?
Exactly.
A month or two, Embiid and Simmons are healthy. That's a whole different beast that you're facing in the first round.
How about the canceling of the college tournaments, March Madness? How does that affect the NBA?
It's really interesting. We're going to do a podcast on this because we've never seen that before, right? You have scouts. The Heat have scouts all over the place. And you see them during the year, but you want to see them during the conference tournaments. You want to see them at the regionals, right? You want to see them in the Final Four.
Absolutely.
Dwayne Wade was drafted by the Miami Heat because of what he did against Pat Riley's Kentucky, right?
For sure.
In the Final Four. So getting into the Final Four. So all of that matters, and this is going to be an issue going forward, and how you redirect all this. And these are answers we're going to try to get because maybe you haven't seen enough of a player to really make an evaluation on that player. So I think all of this is secondary. I understand it. But the NFL is moving forward with business. The NBA has to wait because it was in the middle of its season.
You touched on this. The AAA employees, they're out of work now. Have you heard anything about how they're going to handle that?
They were working on it. I know that. And I reached out. I know a bunch of people reached out. Look, we saw Golden State's done it. Toronto's done it. Atlanta's done it. A lot of organizations. Mark Cuban, got to give him credit. He was first.
Absolutely.
Dan Gilbert gets a lot of heat up in Cleveland. He was second. Okay. And I believe these organizations need to do this. Look, it's great what Zion Williamson is doing. It's great what Blake Griffin and Kevin Love are doing. This should not be on the players. Okay. The players are worth 1% of what the owners are worth. 1%. Do the math, okay? This should not be on the players. It's a great gesture, and they feel closer to the arena employees. They deal with them on a daily basis. A lot of them came from the same backgrounds as a lot of the arena employees, but the owners need to take the lead. I like what Golden State did, where it was like a collaborative between players, owners, and everybody else.
All right. Heat owner Micky Arison, who owns Carnival Cruise Lines, is massively affected negatively by this. Does that translate on how he will do business with the Heat?
I don't know. And I know basketball is important to the Arison family, and they've done a great job as stewards of basketball in this market, but we got to look at the reality. I don't think there's a single NBA owner who's been more affected than the Arison family. I mean, it directly affects, whereas like you look at Dan Gilbert in Cleveland, like this may positively affect him because mortgage rates go down, okay? But no, seriously, I don't mean that in I don't mean that in a crass way. I'm just talking about from a strict business perspective. For the Miami Heat, though, this is based out of the cruise business. We know what Carnival stock is doing. And we know that there's really no end in sight here. And so I don't know.
Every stock.
Every stock, but in particular, travel stocks, cruise stock. And so I don't know what happens going forward because we were expecting The Heat, they got out of the luxury tax situation. We were expecting them to spend into the tax the next couple of years. Do they? And they made some moves this offseason where they have a lot of players. Goran Dragic, Myers Leonard, Derek Jones Jr., Jay Crowder, who are going to be free agents. Do you sign all those players? It's going to be a lot of questions.
Ethan Skolnick's stock is going this way. 5 Reasons Sports. Thank you, my friend.
5
reasons.